doubleheader on ESPN and the ESPN app. Jamal Murray and the Nuggets' 4-game East Coast road trip rolls on against Kemba and the Celtics at 8 p.m. Eastern. Then LeBron and the Lakers are in Portland to take on Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers. Our coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Anybody who says the Cowboys players have checked out and quit, for lack of a better word, on their coach because they think he might not come back next season, what do you say to that?
That's false. False as ever. This team is focused on right now, and that's the only thing that matters. We believe in our coach. We believe in his message.
Is this still this is a pretty rough stretch for you guys, Dak.
Sure.
Is it still a confident team, you think?
It is. I mean, the confidence hasn't wavered, but we've got to figure it out. The thing that gives us confidence is the players, the skill level that we have, the way that I see guys prepare, the way that guys go about their business each and every day, but we've got to figure out what it is on game day to flip the switch and get the job done. No excuses.
Dak Prescott sure doesn't look like the guy expected to get big bucks to be the Cowboys franchise quarterback. While he put up inflated stats last night, he struggled to get anything going on offense in Chicago with 5-3 and outs in the loss. Now we welcome in to the studio NFL insider Louis Riddick. How are you doing, Louis?
I'm good.
Good. Let's get right to it. Max, I'm going to start with you. How much is Dak to blame for the latest Dallas blunder?
Not a whole lot. Look, everyone needs to play better on that team. That includes Dak, but I can't pin it on Dak. Look, if it was the kind of game that I saw out of Jimmy Garoppolo recently or Baker Mayfield a couple times this season where I'm like, wait, the game is in the balance. If you get credit for being a guy who can shine under the bright lights, make those plays. It's make or miss. Make them. Dak, if it came down to it and Dak started choking under pressure here and there, okay, put it on Dak. I would blame it on him. That's not what happened. This was not a game, and I cannot say it was primarily the quarterback's fault. And I brought up Warren Sharp earlier in the show. If you're always facing a third down and the other team isn't, guess what? The play calling isn't great, right? If you're always missing tackles all over the field, guess what? The defense ain't great. If you're missing field goals at critical points, guess what? Special teams ain't performing. You go down the list, the team is not functioning well. And then the owner, as usual, is giving his press conference after the game, right there, and people are writing down quotes and talking about it. It's a dysfunctional situation right now from the owner to the GM, whose roster I now believe is a little overrated, to the coach, to the players, and I can't pin this one on Dak. Sorry.
Well, I got news for you, buddy. I can. And I got something to tell you, Mr. Max Kellerman. I don't want to hear that from you, and here's the reason why. Because you historically lament the fact that there are dudes out there that get their numbers without the W. And if anybody personifies that, it is Dak Prescott. Now, allow me to go down the list. Dak Prescott throws for 463 yards against the Green Bay Packers. Loss. Dak Prescott throws for 397 yards against the Minnesota Vikings. Loss. Dak Prescott throws for 355 yards against the Buffalo Bills. Loss. Dak Prescott throws for 334 yards last night. Loss. What I'm trying to say to you is we are looking at an individual that clearly is good at getting his numbers. But do the W's come with it? Nope. Matter of fact, every single stiff competition that they've gone up against this year, they've lost. Now, he didn't throw for 300 plus yards against New Orleans. He only threw for 223 yards that game. Still a loss. Why did I bring that up? Because it was against Teddy Bridgewater, not Drew Brees. So we look at that. I just gave you 5 losses. 5, okay, where Dak Prescott supposedly did his job numbers-wise, but that leader we've been talking about, that dude that held out for that money, that dude that wanted to get paid franchise quarterback money, that dude that lamented the affairs that going on with Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, thinking he should be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, even above Russell Wilson, even above Big Ben Roethlisberger, because it was $40 million, right? Because Russell Wilson's at $35 million. Big Ben Roethlisberger's at $34 million, 2 highest paid quarterbacks in the National Football League this year. He wanted more than all those dudes. Not just Carson Wentz, not just Jared Goff. But where's the results? 6-7, holding on to first place, about to get your coach fired. Not that it is his fault. I don't mean that literally, because we all know it's about Jason Garrett. It ain't about Dak Prescott. But what I'm saying is if you holding out franchise money and you want that franchise money, and you believe that you that dude, Mrs. Rachel, and you got all of that going for you, all right? And then somehow, some way, you're getting numbers, but not necessarily the level of productivity. And I got dudes like my buddy Jamie Foxx at home, barely able to get out of bed because they're so depressed at what they're seeing transpire before their very eyes. Bottom line is, you're damn right I can blame Dak too. Not just him, but I can't absolve him because he's the quarterback. He says he's the franchise. He says he's the difference maker. And the fact of the matter is, his press conferences and his quotes have been better than his results. And that's a fact.
Lewis, which side do you fall on?
Whew.
Right? Exactly.
Well, look, using quarterback wins as a way to measure quarterbacks, using wins or losses as a way to measure quarterbacks without context as far as stats are concerned, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time for me. Dak has had plenty of games where you put up plenty of numbers in quality minutes at crucial moments of games, and they've lost. So is that Dak's fault? No. Context is important. How the game has been flowing. How things, when has he not been performing in crucial moments? Last night, they came in with a pass-heavy game plan outside of the first series because they really went away from it. So they must have thought we could throw this football around, and Dak wasn't on it. They must have thought we could throw this ball around despite the fact that Zeke is running it right down their throat. Despite the fact that we had our first drive that lasted 9 minutes, 17 plays, and we went away from them. We just started drop back, drop back, drop back, drop back. That's not Dak's fault. But what is his fault is the fact that they weren't on the same page. He was missing some throws. Receivers were not running the right routes. It's a total fail. It's a total fail, but that's what we've been talking about.
You can't pin this one on Dak.
No, you can't pin it on him,
That's right.
but you can say he didn't play well last night.
Max and Lewis, may I throw this by y'all for a quick second? Real quick answer to this question. Can Dak Prescott run with the football?
Yep.
Is he capable of running with the football?
Capable.
Have we not seen how guys that have wheels can be effective?
He can pick. I've seen him pick up a lot of critical first
Okay.
downs. Yep.
Why the hell in Chicago last night against that top 5 defense does Dak Prescott have 1 yard rushing? When you watch the dude on the other side of the field, Mitchell Trubisky, running roughshod over you with his legs. How in God's name do you not come to the conclusion that maybe you need to run the ball too?
That's why this one is not on Dak. I'd agree he didn't play well, but it's on the coaching. You just said it, like we're saying, hey, feed Zeke. You fed Zeke, it worked. And then you inexplicably go away from it. Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense. This one is on the coaching, and I'll tell you something about the Cowboys. In baseball, you know who's going to perform well, what hitters are going to do well in the postseason? The ones who hit good pitching. A lot of guys get fat on the number 3 and 4 starters, right? But who hits the aces and deuces? The Cowboys are like a baseball player that only hits bad pitching. They hit bad pitching. If you put a bad team in front of them, they'll destroy them, right? Put a team, even with a 500 record, they look awful. They cannot beat good teams. They have talent. Even if I say the roster's overrated, they have talent at this point. They have talent. They are not well coached. The play calling's bad. The game plan is bad. The discipline is bad. It's not good.
But see, this segment right here is about whether or not the fault lies with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has put up quality numbers in quality moments against quality opponents.
Right.
He has done that. See, here's the beauty about, we live in a blame culture, right? We want to blame someone. It's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. You can't do that in football. And Dak has put his team in position to win many, many times. Many times.
Let me tell you why.
And the other two phases have let him down.
Let me tell you why I think you're wrong, buddy.
But,
you know, Bill Belichick is on television. And obviously the NFL Network is doing this fabulous thing with him and Lawrence Taylor and Ray Lewis and everybody's there. And they're talking to Bill Belichick, who's articulating and elocuting himself in ways that we rarely see because the man doesn't talk but so much in front of the cameras. That man sat up there and they talked about what's one of the clips that they showed was, what's the great part about you coaching? He said, hey, no weaknesses, attack them. Mm-hmm. He said, we go there every day. We know your strengths. We know your weaknesses. We elevate our strengths. We attack your weaknesses. We try to avoid you doing what your strength is. We attack your weaknesses. So what I'm saying is when you point to the blame game per se, it's not like it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. What it is about is highlighting the fact that, excuse me, every coach that's worth their salt goes in looking to exploit a weakness. So if you've lost to that particular coach, in all likelihood is because they exploited your weaknesses. So when we're pointing out those weaknesses, that's not blame. That's pointing out and spitting facts. Excuse me, This is what they're going to do. For some inexplicable reason, they're idiots. They ain't going to get the ball to Ezekiel Elliott. Let's bank on that. For some inexplicable reason, they're going to keep trying to throw the football. Oh, by the way, on several occasions this season, they didn't even target Amari Cooper. They're going to target somebody else. We're going to point to that. Oh, by the way, they're suspect in their running defense because Leighton Vander Esch is out. Jalen Smith doesn't seem to be himself for whatever reason over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then you got Sean Lee, who's old and had durability issues. If we can fool and get past that front line of defense and get into their secondary somewhere. What did Mitchell Trubisky do on that one play? You had Michael Bennett get fooled thinking that somebody else was going to run the football, okay? And then Mitchell Trubisky went right there. A hole as wide as Broadway on a Sunday morning, got into the interior or into the secondary, the linebackers of the Cowboys defense, and nobody could touch it.
That's not a Dak Prescott issue, though.
This is where Dak's contract comes into play.
Right.
Because I believe Dak is a great leader. He strikes me that way.
So do I.
He strikes me as a young Tom Brady or Russell Wilson in the sense that he's already very good, and there are qualities you could see that could make him great, but he's not there yet. And I wouldn't pay him based on the assumption that he will get there very soon. Here are quarterbacks who can elevate a team because when you talk about bad coaching or missed tackles, that drives me crazy. And it was all over the place, right? So pick your guys up. Remember, I blamed Carson Wentz because, okay, Zach Ertz drops a pass. He caught a pass for you in the Super Bowl. Pick him up. Your defense been playing great. Now they play bad. Pick him up. Dak's not that kind of player yet. He's not the kind of guy who can elevate a bad team and make them good. Let me tell you who is. And these are the guys who you pay. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson right now, and we'll see if that continues. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Those are the far right end of the bell curve that you pay. That's not Dak.
But Aaron Rodgers has won one Super Bowl. One.
Right.
He ain't elevating that many people.
But he's been up.
He's putting up some great numbers. But wait a minute. We're talking about winning.
No, but they win.
You're talking about winning, man.
Wait a minute.
You're talking about winning. Why did they fire their coach?
Because he's
holding them back.
Old school coach.
Because he was holding them back.
Hold
He was holding them back. Okay, let me ask you this.
You will
let me ask you this.
Disrespect
I know how you feel.
that bad
I know how you feel about that.
like
But
that.
let me just
You will not do that on this show.
He made the playoffs every year.
Let me ask you this. We're talking about championships, though, Mac.
He's won that too. He's won one of those.
One.
Oh, okay. How many? But one is.
So did Brett Favre.
One.
So did Brett Favre.
I agree.
One.
I agree.
So did Drew Brees.
Why am I getting yelled at? 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 Can I talk for a minute? Can I talk for a minute? I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I said this is the point I'm trying to get to, which is that this is about a team game. This is about a team. Dallas Cowboys next year are going to be infinitely better with a different coach.
It is a team game.
Max,
they're going to be infinitely
Lewis,
better.
let me just say this. It is a team game, and we agree about that. My point is there are some quarterbacks who can elevate an entire team. Dak is not yet one of them.
Dak Prescott cannot make them make tackles on defense.
We got to table this one.
Dak Prescott could not make them tackle better last night.
Let me get the last word.
Couldn't do it.
I want y'all to consider this. I'm not asking y'all to comment. Just consider this. Basketball with Magic Johnson was willing to stand up and say, we need a new direction, okay? In the case of Lamar Jackson, you got guys bragging about him and promoting and pushing him. No one would dare speak against Dak Prescott, but you don't see people raving about him like that. I'm not questioning his skill. Is it maybe his professionalism, the politically correct thing to say? He's never diverted away from that with the Dallas Cowboys. Is it possible that players are looking at him and saying, yo, dude, you the star quarterback for this team. Could you go upstairs and speak up and speak in ways that we can't? Could you do that? Is it possible that people are looking for Dak Prescott and saying, we get the leadership, the politically correct thing to say, but when the hell you going to stand up and push this organization to make change instead of looking
He might say, when I get my money.
All right, we got to go. Lewis, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for making Stephen A. mad enough to finally take off that hat.
Yeah.
Still to come on First Take, is the entire Cowboys roster actually overrated? We'll debate that and more coming.